Everybody's got a to-do list, dropping off dry cleaning, picking up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. And the good thing is you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance, extra money in your pocket. It just may be the most rewarding to-do you do today. Plus, they have the funniest TV commercials, so that's got to count for something, folks.
Now, Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast, Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Spike's... All right, we got to wait a sec. Hey, Suckerman, come on. I want to start the fucking show.
Be a piece of shit.
Please, quiet until I talk to you. Everybody. No, you don't have to do headphones if you don't want to do it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spike's Car Radio. Happy Wednesday. Here we are in the Beverly Hills studio. I've left a seat open for you, the listener. We've got a great show for you, but, you know, we're recording today on a Friday, and it's a rainy Friday. And here in L.A., you know, we get so excited about the rain because it only rains once a year, and, you know, people get really excited about wearing that raincoat. You go into your closet on a day like today, and you get that raincoat on, and that raincoat has been with you for, I don't know, like 20 years because you only wear it once a year. And then if you're me, you go out into the driveway, and you get really excited to drive your SUV with a cold weather package, and that's what I did today. I hopped into my Range Rover Sport, and I pressed the button on the steering wheel that heats up the steering wheel. I pressed the seat heaters, and boy, I just jammed down Sunset. I put on that Spotify New Music Friday, and, you know, it's still full of crappy new songs. There's not a good song on that list, but there were two. Spotify, if you're listening, New Music Friday, if there's no good new music, I want that list reduced to like 5 songs, maybe 3. Don't give me 50 bad songs, all right? But anyway, I'm still in a good mood. I know it sounds like I'm getting in a bad mood, but I'm in a little bit thrown off by the Spotify New Music Friday. But I took that Range Rover, and I was so cozy, just driving out. I was hitting every puddle, just splashing shit all over the place. And I arrived here at the studio, and we've got a great show for you today. I'm here with Ben Clymer from Hodinkee.com. Ben, good to see you, my friend.
And you, sir.
He's based in New York. He runs Hodinkee.com. If you're near a computer, you should go there right now. I liked how you guys describe your watch site. It's wristwatch stories, reviews, and do you not? And the way it comes up on Google, it's not sales. Okay. I put that in the little thing, but this site is the premier watch site for watch guys, right? It's the place that I go to for information and reviews. And Ben, you know, for lack of a better description, is my watch matchmaker. He's the guy that I call for information about watches before I make a move because he seems to know everything about them. But Ben, you know, thank you for coming in today.
It's my pleasure.
What are you doing here? Why are you here in L.A.? Because I know you're based in New York.
Yep, so we're based in New York. We are out here with a full squad of about 9 people from the team, and we are shooting several episodes of Talking Watches. We're hosting a few events, a few meetups, things like that, and just seeing some friends. You know, we are so kind of New York-centric. It's good to get out here on the West Coast every now and then to see some.
And Talking Watches.
Yes.
So when you go to this site, right? All right. There's the shop button that's got the great straps.
Yeah.
It's got the great old watches that seem to, you know, like a few sites that I follow. Is it Boulang and Sons?
Yep.
These watches, the second they go up, before you, as you see them, they're sold.
That's exactly
gone.
Right. That's the beauty of vintage watches.
Right? And then you seem to have access in the watch world that everybody dreams of. You seem to be at every single, are there premieres for these new watches? Or how does it work? Do they call you up in the middle of the night and go, we have something special? And
we get a lot of those phone calls, a lot of those texts and WhatsApps. There are trade shows like Geneva Auto Show or LA Auto Show. Basel World is the big one. That's where Rolex and Patek preview all their new stuff. It's where all the retailers decide to buy everything.
That's Basel World.
Correct, Basel World.
Okay.
In Basel, Switzerland.
I always see that word, and that's a once a year. Well, I don't know because I didn't know.
Place.
You would know this, Zuckerman. The thermometer, is it the basal thermometer? What's the thermometer they'd put up your ass when you were a kid?
It's called rectal. That's called a rectal thermometer.
But the medical term for it, the basal thermometer?
That sounds right.
Right, and so, but this is Basel World.
Correct.
Right,
In
okay.
Basel, Switzerland.
And that's a week-long event?
It's about 10 days. You see around 300,000 people attend. They have around, or they used to have anyway, around 1,000 brands that would participate, watch brands, jewelry brands, etc. Losing some steam these years as trade shows just become a little bit antiquated with the internet.
Right.
But still very important. And again, all the retailers that you buy your watches from, they all travel there to make their purchases for the year. Right. So the entire year is where the business is done in those 10 days.
So how many watches, new models are rolled out every year? Do all the brands roll new?
It's absolutely disgusting. Everybody brings out dozens and dozens of new SKUs. Watches are now being treated as if it's fashion, where it's like, there's this season is the color is blue, next season the color is red. Watches are trying to, or really adopting that, I think, for the worse. If you look at the watch that you're wearing and the watch that we're wearing, which are all Rolexes, as it happens, they barely change anything every year, and that's why Rolex is Rolex.
So let's talk about what we're wearing. I see Zuckerman is wearing his reference 116500, new Daytona, black, beautiful. Mm-hmm. You are wearing that new Daytona right there. Which one is that?
So this is very similar to Paul's Daytona, but this is white gold, and so this came out just this past year, white gold on an Oyster Flex strap. It is one of those watches that nobody needs at all,
right?
But it's just so cool.
Because white gold. Nobody knows it's white gold, right?
Like
you end up paying $40,000 more for a watch everybody thinks is stainless steel.
That's exactly it.
And you can see what I'm wearing here.
And it looks awesome.
Right.
Yeah, it's a day date.
That's the day date in yellow gold. Now,
it's a big boy's watch.
This is from Crown and Caliber, my friends there, and they're letting me use it for the month. And I've been experimenting with this yellow gold watch because, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm very uncomfortable with this yellow gold idea unless I retire. I was taught when you retire, you get the gold watch, right? Zuckerman, probably you too, right?
20 years. Imagine that. After 20 years. How long have you been in show business?
What, 24.
Okay, you get your gold watch.
So I get my gold watch. But you're right. It was 20 years. That's all it took.
Because you were going to die like 2 years after that.
Now, I'm getting, in most of the places I go, people are rolling their eyes at me. But what's interesting about this watch, I will tell you, is people notice it.
They sure do.
I catch people. This is one of the few watches I've worn where I catch people looking down at my wrist.
Yeah.
Or my dick. I'm not sure what they're looking at, but I'm going to guess that it's my wrist. And is that what people are? Do watch guys get off on that?
I think a little bit. I mean, the yellow gold day date is really in a category unto itself. I mean, this is that watch right there, kind of single-handedly turned watches from functional, kind of like useful tools into status symbols, and that was in the late '70s during the quartz crisis, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. And so it was really the yellow gold day date. That was not a popular seller at all for Rolex. It was really like a gentleman's watch until the 70s when all of a sudden it became like a status symbol. And then the yellow gold day date persisted as the really iconic status-filled watch.
Now, how do you feel about men wearing yellow gold?
I love it. I do it all. I fucking love it. I really do. I'm really into gold.
Stay close to that mic. Why? Tell us why.
So the thing is, like, for watches for
me... Talk right into it there.
Yes,
I just want to make sure you have it.
So watches for me are really about kind of escaping reality in some way and just kind of like pretending to live a life that you might not be able to live yourself. And so watches are just about having fun, just like cars are, honestly. And so when you put on a yellow gold Rolex or yellow gold Patek or some crazy old thing, you really get to kind of pretend and live a life that you might not be living actually. It's just about fun. And I think like what we do with Hodinkee is all about making people enjoy this hobby. And there's so many people out there that are so aggressive about selling and so kind of almost adversarial with clients when they sell stuff. We try to do the opposite and realize that like watches for most of our readers are a reprieve. They're a relaxation point. If you're a doctor, a lawyer, in entertainment, anything, you go into Hodinkee and you want to have fun. You don't want to get nerded out about stuff, or you don't want to get nervous about things. So we want to make everything fun, and with that, wearing a yellow gold or platinum or white gold watch is just fun. It's stupid. It makes no sense.
I think yellow gold is way more fun than the other two.
It is.
Again, nobody knows what platinum and white gold is. You know what car I just thought of yours when he just said so eloquently about having fun with a watch? Do you know what car?
Tell me.
300 SL.
Exactly, where you get to, and I never.
Where you put on that guy you want to be, but deep down I'm not that guy.
For sure, not that guy. Yeah.
I thought the analysis was great. I never quite saw it that way, but the reason I have been repelled by yellow gold is that it stood for something that I never thought I could attain, being an East Coast Jew. It was the country club guy's watch where I felt excluded. And now he explained to me why I retreat from yellow gold, and now I can put it on and I can be that guy.
Okay, mission accomplished.
Mr. Wilson. I will be Colonel Wilson.
Wait, you're Jewish? Let's talk about Hodinkee.
Okay.
What does that word mean?
Yes.
It's something everyone wants to know. We want to know. And by the way, I have a ton of questions to ask you. The fans were very excited that you were coming on, so we're going to get to those too. But let's start with that one.
Yeah, so Hodinkee, I mean, you know the story a little bit, but Hodinkee, there was no business plan. It was really just like I used to work in finance. I used to work at UBS, and I fucking hated it. And I was there in 2008 when finance went kind of straight through the floor. And my boss said, look, you got to come in every day. We don't want to lay you off. Come in every day and just bide your time. So at the time, I had one nice watch that was given to me by my grandfather, Jewish grandfather. He gave me an Omega. And I started writing about my Omega, and then I started writing about other watches, and I just realized that I needed a domain. I needed a domain that was kind of like irreverent and kind of goofy. And at the time, the only watch websites that were online were gray market or fake watch sellers. So like Luxury Bazaar, like really, like Rolex.com barely existed at that time, which tells you a lot about the country of Switzerland.
Right.
So I Google translated wristwatch into about 25 different languages, and I thought Hodinkee was kind of like the dumbest, to be honest, like kind of the goofiest, and just went with it.
And what language is it?
It's Czech. So Hodinkee with a Y on the end is Czech. Yeah. So there you go.
Oh, Hodinkee.
Hodinkee. I'm wearing my Hodinkee, Zuckerman. Is that really what it is? So they walk around with their Hodinkies?
They do, but with a Y instead of a double E.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So I went with that.
Made it your own.
Just made it my own. And the thing is, like, there was like, I never thought I would be here. I never thought I would make a dime doing this. It was just something to goof off at work with, And so that's it. I didn't give it a second thought, and now here we are, like literally 10 years later. Yeah.
Hodinkee. Now I'm gonna use that word for wearing my yellow gold Hodinkee. Zuckerman. Is that even a good Czech accent? What
no, you were doing Scandinavian, but who knows what a Czech accent is?
Well, we've got so much to get through here. There's a lot to get through, but let's stick with watches for a little bit, all right? Because I called you not long ago, and if you've, I believe we've covered this on the podcast, the Vic Elford Daytona, right?
Mm-hmm. Very.
That in 1968, Vic Elford won the Daytona 24-hour race in a 907 Longtail, beating the GT40. And it was the first overall win for Porsche in a 24-hour race, right? Very significant car.
Absolutely,
Our
correct.
rich comedian friend from New York bought the car and was offered the watch, which he promptly turned down for about, $15,000 or $20,000.
That's what you told me.
Yeah. And I was all over him.
As you should be.
All over him. You got to get that watch. I don't like Rolex, Mike. It's too. Just a bunch of stupidity coming out of his mouth. Year later, offered the watch for $50,000.
Right.
The guy called him. He said, "You should really buy this." He's like, "I can't get my head around wearing a Rolex, Mike." I said, "Jerry, you're a moron. Buy this thing. It's going to be worth a fortune." The watch was offered to him a third time at $150,000. Mm-hmm. Now, this is years later, maybe 2 years ago, I guess.
At Amelia.
Yeah. I said, look, guilt them into giving it to you for $100, but get that watch at all costs. He goes, is it worth it? I go, it's going to be worth it, right? So he bought the watch, right? And listeners have heard this story. He had some trouble bringing it into the country because his guy looked at and saw the word oyster bracelet and decided to send it in through Fish and Game, and it got held up.
That actually happened, right?
That actually happened. Yeah. No joke. And then when the watch arrived, it was in, I believe the watch had been restored once, but you can tell me about the history of the watch. But it was kind of a mess. The crystal was all carved up, and Jerry threw his famous shit fit and was like, I can't believe I wasted this money on this piece of shit. I will never wear it. What was the quote, Zuckerman?
It will never see the light of day.
It will never see the light of day. He's furious. The billionaire is furious. I lost my gum money for 5 minutes. How will I get another 150? Oh, wait, I'm fine. And I called you.
Yes.
I called you. And what happened from there? Did Jerry call you up, or did one of his people call you up? Take us through what happened.
So I spoke with Jerry on the phone.
And by the way, you knew what the watch was right away.
Yeah.
I loved what you said right away. You said, "Is this watch in circulation?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, this guy's bitching and moaning about it, but yeah, he bought it. He has it. Can you believe it? How amazing is that?" So what happens from that point on?
So from that, I hop on the phone with Jerry, and he kind of gives me the same spiel and says, I've got this thing. He was I think kind of upset by the condition of the watch. And he said, how can we make this thing better? The thing is, the watch wasn't in that bad a shape. It had, replacement hands, which is normal for a Rolex service. It had a later crystal, like really kind of simple stuff. It needed a service. So I kind of talked him through and said, look, like we can make
down.
we can talk him down a little bit.
But you know what to touch and what not to touch to keep this watch significant.
Exactly
so
right.
what were those things? What did you see when you saw that watch, and what did you recommend, and what did you do?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me were the hands. So with the hands, these were obvious service hands. And so what we did is we sourced a pair of original 1960 style hands, which look very similar to the service
So
hands.
Rolex, at some point, Vic Elford gives the watch back to Rolex, and they put different hands on it, service hands?
Yeah, so instead of having tritium, these hands actually had superluminova, so they really glowed when you shone a light on it.
And which Daytona is it? What reference?
It's a 6239 from about 1968. So
6239,
pump pusher,
okay.
black dial,
Right.
small Daytona.
It's beautiful watch.
It's a killer.
Right now. Yeah,
it really is. And the story that goes with it. I mean, as we saw later this past year with Paul Newman's watch, if you have a Daytona with a story behind it, it goes bonkers. Just crazy.
Yes.
And this, I knew of this watch. I knew that it should exist, but I didn't know where it was or anything like that. And it is still, I would say, up until this moment, probably pretty clandestine. Like most people don't know that there is a Vic Elford, now Jerry Seinfeld Daytona.
Right.
But there is.
And you can Google it if you're near a computer. Google Vic Elford Daytona. It's 68, and you'll see a picture of him with this big cheese-eating grin, and he's holding the watch open, and there it is. And so you replace the hands.
Yep.
Why does Daytona do that? Like, I have that Daytona 6263 with the service dial, right? They took off the original dial at some point, and I have the service dial, and that ruins the value of the watch?
It does, and Rolex is
Should I get an original dial for it?
Honestly, you probably should. I mean, it would double the value of the watch, so...
And what is that going to cost me?
Probably $15,000 to $20,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Just
it's a big red, so it's probably around $15,000 to $20,000. But all of a sudden, you can just add that right into the value of the watch.
Really?
So I would probably do it. The reason Rolex does it, and I don't think a lot of people that aren't that close to the brand get it, all they want is for stuff to work the best. And what's going to work the best is a brand new dial with superluminova hands. They're going to polish the case. They're going to make it look brand new. Rolex is in the business of making tools. Even though they do make yellow gold watches as well, they want everything to work as well as possible. That's why they replace everything.
So you replace the hands. New crystal? Did you polish the crystal?
We didn't polish the crystal. We took it off. It was a flat top crystal, which is totally common and totally normal thing. But to me, for this watch, considering its history and the owner, I wanted to find a Superdome 21, which is the proper Superdome crystal for an early Daytona, which took forever. but we found one, and it was honestly rather expensive for a piece of plastic. But it makes a total difference. And when we gave the watch back to Jerry, he was like, the crystal is everything. And it really is. It changes the entire profile of the watch.
It's like when we replaced the windshield in the 87, right?
Correct.
So Jerry, when he's out here, he wears that watch. He puts it on just for us. When we drive out to Malibu, and he's like, it doesn't do anything for me, but I know you guys enjoy it. And we all wear it while we drink coffee. And it is a stunning piece.
It is.
And there have been moments that we're sitting at Bill's out on the porch there, and, I remember when he first got it, he didn't even wear it. He just left it in the box. Yeah. And we would just go in and get coffee, and he would just leave it sitting on the table out there. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? His little pile of money was there, and his $1 million watch. It's safe to say that his investment is going to yield a profit, wouldn't you say?
I would say so. I mean, this is a clear kind of segue of ownership, so we know exactly that this was Vic Elford's watch.
Yes.
We've got documentation from Rolex. Now that people know that it's Jerry Seinfeld's watch, I think the value increases even more because they know how great of a collector he is in the motorsport era, motorsport realm. I would say the investment is safe. This is not Paul Newman's Paul Newman for sure,
right?
But I mean, this is a six-figure watch all day long.
Yeah, and I don't know. I would go 7 figures on this one.
You're
this
going
is
7?
Porsche's first win in a 24-hour race. This is the watch that was awarded for that win. You send it to Phillips Auction. Here's the big question.
Does it stay with the car, or does it
That's where I was going, Zuckerman. Exactly.
It's got to stay with the car, in my opinion.
You think so?
I do.
You would sell these things? Because I had an argument with someone the other day that I'm not sure that the race car buyer is also a watch guy, that the race car buyer might go, I'm going to buy that car and I want the watch too.
Yeah,
but
if they don't understand how much that watch could be worth, that's the thing.
Right, but if you're making money, aren't you sending that watch to Phillips Auctions and then promoting it, and it's with the watch guys?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it's possible, but as we all know, and as somebody who follows kind of both worlds, the car guys have a lot more money than the watch guys. So
they do? Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
I mean, think about the average top lot in a Gooding sale. What is it, 10, 15 million?
Yeah.
We've had one watch that broke that number in history.
Right.
And so the people that are buying vintage Ferraris, really high end Porsches, I tend to think are much more in tune with spending real money than watch guys. I mean,
so you have to tap into both worlds.
You have to. I mean, honestly, up until 3 years ago, we had never broken $1 million with a Rolex. 4 years ago, 2014.
Right.
And think about that. I mean, now we break $1 million every season, but it's not a common thing to spend that much money on any watch.
Wow. There you go. Yeah. All right. We'll be back with more Ben Clymer in a minute. Do you know who Kimball Musk is? Well, you probably recognize the last name. That's Elon's brother, and he's just announced he's giving away his personal and fully customized Model 3 Tesla for charity. By partnering with Omaze, the online fundraising platform, one lucky person is going to win the 6th Model 3 Tesla ever made, courtesy of Mr. Musk. And this is the Model 3, so it has everything from voice-activated controls, Wi-Fi, LTE connectivity, premium audio system, LED fog lamps, long-range battery, even taxes are covered too. What a deal. You can enter for as little as $10. Proceeds will benefit Big Green, Kimball's own initiative to provide healthier futures to kids through learning gardens and food literacy programs. A winner is randomly selected. To enter, visit omaze.com/spike. That's my name. That's omaze.com/spike. Omaze is a really great find. Check out their other experiences while you're there. They've got one with William Shatner, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and more. Don't forget to use the promo code SPIKE to double your chances of winning on any of these. And rest easy knowing that even if you aren't the lucky winner, it's all for a good cause.
Hey, podcast listener, this is Rob Cesternino. I'm the Rob, and Rob has a podcast, and the new season of Survivor is just getting started, and we've got new episodes for you 5 days a week. Join us for interviews with your favorite past Survivor players and this season's losers right after they get their torch snubbed. Listen free to Rob Has a Podcast, exclusively available on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and the Podcast One app. And if you like the show, why not share it with a friend or leave us a rating and review on iTunes?
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, we're back with Ben Clymer from Hodinkee.com at The Real Zuckerman. Let's talk Zagato. Boy, what was it, about a year ago?
Yeah.
I got a message from Zagato, and I know you got a message from Zagato in Milan. Mm-hmm. And they said, we are building the 356 Coupe Zagato. The original proposal of Carrozzeria Zagato. Carrozzia, how do we say that? I don't know.
Carrozzeria, maybe?
Carrozzeria.
Carl Abarth, when the latter was seeking advice for making a lighter and more aerodynamic competition version of the 356 with Porsche. Ugo Zagato, the founder of the Atelier, provided Abarth with 2 drawings. And unfortunately, Zagato's 356 remained only on paper for many years. So they were going to make this car with Porsche in '59, and they decided not to.
Yep.
As the story went, the final series of the GTL were bodied by Motto and Turin, with production beginning in January 1960 and ending in September 1961. That was the Abarth Carrera, right?
That's right.
The one we were driving last week with Jerry. Well, guess what? Zagato, thanks to Porsche, is going to build this car. They're going to build 9 of them, and 2 of them are right here in this room.
This is true.
And you're getting one. Zuckerman and I are partnered on one.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Zagato just yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Those folks going back and forth. Paolo, my friend Paolo. Hello, Dr. Paolo. Dr. Paolo. Is he Dr. Paolo?
He's a doctor engineer.
He is a doctor.
He is a doctor
engineer.
That's right.
Dottore.
And I said, Paolo, in an email, I said, Paolo, how many of these cars are coming to the United States? Do you know?
I don't know.
I know.
We guessed. What was my guess correct?
I don't know what your guess was, but
I said 5.
2. It's just us, boys.
Really?
Congratulations,
Clymer.
The only 2 cars coming to the United States, one on the East Coast.
Indeed.
And Zuckerman, we're holding down the West Coast.
That's amazing.
The other cars are going, one's going to Holland, one's going to Switzerland, one's going to Denmark, another's going to Italy. Well, now he's repeating these. Let's see. Hold on. Holland, that's 2. Switzerland, that's 4. Denmark, Italy, Monaco, that's 7. And USA. Look at that. So we really do have something special coming.
We own the market in the United States.
Now, your build is a little ahead of ours.
Yeah.
Because our guys...
We're number 7, right?
We're number 7. That's
what
the one I...
So I'm car number 9, but I think I placed the order a little bit before.
Really? He got 9.
I got number 9.
Well, you did place it before because I passed on it.
Yep.
Famously passed on it. I
called
called this guy. I called Jerry. I said, "Come on, guys, let's do this."
Yeah.
Nobody was interested. They talked me out of it. And then Zuckerman and I were flying into Monterey, and in Panorama, they did a whole piece on it. And I looked at the pictures, and I went, "Oh, my God, Zuckerman, look at this. What have we done?"
It's insane.
And Zuckerman said, "Call them right now. They're going to give it to you." And before we landed, I was emailing him. Before we landed, Paolo was nice enough to go, "I'll give you the car. I had promised it to somebody else. We have a waiting list, but you can have it."
It should be an amazing thing. It really is. And the story for me is that I have a Lancia Flaminia Zagato, which is just a beautiful car. And I was going to Basel World, actually. And last year they did this huge exhibition of all the Zagato historic cars in Basel. And somebody from Zagato was nice enough to meet me there and give me a little private tour of the Zagato thing. And I've always wanted a Zagato car built for myself. Hard to do, obviously.
Yeah.
And I have a Ferrari 456, which is not a super crazy car, but it's a great chassis and great transmission and everything. And I asked them, I said, look, I've got this 456. Could you rebody it in a Zagato style for me today, in a way that we could kind of do something together? And they go, we don't really like to work with Ferrari. There's too much kind of loaded weight with that, and it would cost you €1 million minimum, blah blah blah. But we have this thing because I also know that I like Porsche that's coming, and I was like, look, I have no idea how much it's going to cost. I probably can't afford it, but consider me interested. And then they sent me the details, and I was like, fuck yes, just doing this, And I called my fiance, and I was like, I just spent a lot of money, and she's like, tell me about it. And in the end, she's like, I agree. I think this is awesome. This is potentially a once in a lifetime type of thing for me.
Zuckerman, I saw you perk up at the fiance asking for money. What were your thoughts right there?
Well, okay, my opinion is that we have different spheres of influence. Women get housewares and linens. You get cars and watches.
That's
but
right.
That's very nice that you asked her and she exceeded.
Don't you think in the fiance stage, remember at the fiance stage when you were there, aren't you trying to be like, hey, let's do all this stuff together? You're not married. You haven't got to it takes such a long time to get to that, I'm just going to buy cars and not even tell her stage. That was a lot of work for me to get to that place. It took me, I've been married for 15 years? At least 10 years of hard work to get to the spot where I can buy something and not tell her.
When I was engaged, I was like an amoeba in Darwinian evolution. I really can't remember how stupid I was, but I was stupid.
So I think that's probably all right that he ran this by her. And by the way, great that she said yes.
Absolutely.
And the car's going to be beautiful. So now the next question is, how did you spec it out? Because the Italians are wonderful. They're an emotional people. This build is very emotional. It's very loosey-goosey. It's not...
They're way ahead of us on money.
Oh, yeah.
Are they ahead on you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And every time we're sending euros over there, we're like, well, why was it so much?
Exactly.
Because the euro-US conversion...
And
all right.
And you're sending it to other people, not them. You're sending it to the
And then it gets
coach guy.
rejected. We've had a couple of payments rejected because of fraud. And we're like, and the apologies, and now they've disappeared. And I'm like, can you send more pictures of this thing?
Exactly.
We've never seen a picture.
I've seen a couple pictures, but I thought they would frighten you, so I didn't send them to you. I thought, let's not.
You're afraid. You're frightened of sending them to me.
No, I believe in these guys. Obviously, I love what Zagato does. I've always dreamed of owning something Zagato, like that Ferrari 250 Zagato. Double bubble is my favorite car in the world. All right, they just, they're not at a stage where. They're at a stage where now they're sending the chassis over to Zagato, and they're going to build the aluminum body of this car, which is going to be stunning. Mm-hmm. So I want the first picture to be really exciting for everybody. For you, Zuckerman, I want you to be excited about this. So I will send it to you when they have it. And I sent Paulo there. I said, Paulo, we're the type of people who want 200 pictures.
Yep.
Just send us a ton of these things, whatever you want. The guys in the shop, the rubber glove pointing and the stuff, somebody banging on metal. Fake it. I don't care. Just send us pictures. This is what we do. This is what we love to talk about.
Did you ask for professional photos of this?
Yeah, not professional, but I just said anything.
So we have a magazine, obviously, and this would be an amazing story for our magazine. And I said, hey, Paolo, I would love to have professional images of my car being built, either for us or 000 or somebody else, some beautiful print product. And they go, okay, that'll be great. We can do that for you. It'll be €20,000. 20,000.
Really?
And I was just like, I swear to God. Okay. And I was like, with respect, come on. And so I was like, look, I've got photographers that we work with all over Europe. Can I just send a guy there? And they're like, yeah, sure, we can do it. And so we are going to be taking our own photos of it. But the original proposal was €20,000 to take these photos. And it would be a beautiful little book and all that. But,
Zuckerman,
they're Italian.
I don't like that. The Italian, what does that have to do with it?
Honestly, a lot.
So let's get back to your car. What colors are you doing?
So it's going to be a kind of a mid...
You don't want to announce it.
No, of course. It's like a gunmetal gray, a slate gunmetal gray.
With a black interior?
No, I'm doing brown interior.
That's sophisticated. This man is a connoisseur.
I'm trying,
Yeah. And what year was your donor car? Because they're taking actual old 356s.
Correct.
Ours was a 1960 356B.
Yep.
61, I thought. No, 60?
I think it was 60. It was 1 year off the 59. I'll have to look it up. It was a horrible horrible old
Don't
car.
tell me.
Absolutely. I got those photos as well.
Yeah, but it was.
You got the same photos of the same donor car.
Probably was it teal? Your car?
It was a darker blue.
Okay, there you go. So it's a different car.
But it had a Canadian title.
Now wait, so are they taking the original engine and hot rodding the engine, or are they throwing new engines in there?
For me, I chose to leave. So it's a matching numbers car, matching number chassis.
Right.
So I'm leaving it stock. They're not souping up the engine in any way. They're just cleaning it and redoing it. Bigger
well, it's
exhaust,
quite a
like
big jump from the pictures of the engine I saw. They're not going to throw that old rusty piece of crap in there.
I think they will. I think they're going to do a total refurb on it and then throw it in.
No, I've seen pictures in the shop, and the engines look brand new in that car.
I don't know. I mean, the way that I spec mine was I wanted a matching numbers car.
Right.
So I believe it is the same engine from the original donor car.
That doesn't make sense. They might be able to take the real engine and polish it up. And I thought they were rebuilding the engines, and that's what 356 in Italy is doing. What was it, 356 Specialist? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's a 356 Specialist in Italy. But they were, the pictures. I actually did get a picture of 5 of the engines from the car, and they were beautiful, brand new, shiny engines.
I'm pretty sure, almost 90% sure that these are the original engines. I think they're doing a total rework. Of them,
they are.
I think their
That's what
they're
building them up. So that's going to be beautiful.
I can't wait.
I just wonder, how these cars going to drive. And now, so Zagato then is going to build the body.
Correct.
And they build a brand new aluminum body that they put on top of it. What else do they do?
The interior and the body. So the only thing that stays the same is the chassis, really, chassis and engine.
I know why he's saying 20,000 euros for the photographs. Did you see that original set of photographs they sent with the car? They're gorgeous.
They were like holograms.
Yeah,
they were floating
architectural
in air.
backgrounds. That's what he thinks.
So it would have been that company doing the photographs
right.
for it.
That's why he's saying that.
No doubt. No doubt.
And those pictures are absolutely stunning.
That's what sold me on the car, honestly.
Right.
Those photos.
And what is your plan for this car? When do you get yours?
So mine could be delivered as early as May in Italy.
In Italy.
In
Italy.
Right.
Well, so it's in
May
Milan.
Of what
obviously.
year?
Exactly. So I'm lucky enough to get to go to the Villa d'Este, the concours on Lake Como most years.
When is that?
It's in May, so it's usually Memorial Day weekend, and it
Zuckerman.
is just a beautiful car show.
I know. I've always
Villa
dreamt of
d'Este,
going. I love that.
And so I try to go to that each year. Long and Stone sponsors it, so I get to go with them. So my goal this year, and I told them when I ordered the car, I want it ready for Villa d'Este this year, so I could fly into Milan, pick it up in Milan, and then drive it to Lake Como.
He's way ahead of us.
I'm trying here, man.
That's an unbelievable plan.
Aspirations.
So, why don't we go, Zuckerman?
You should go.
I've always wanted to go see that show. Our friend Sirio is always there. We can go. But how do we get there? We could get there. This show is spectacular.
It's
what a
insane.
beautiful. What are the dates?
It's usually Memorial Day weekend, that long weekend.
That's what makes it.
And it's
hard
on
with
Lake
kids.
Como. When you go to that, and
Can
then
you
when you
imagine
go to
what
Pebble,
your life is going to be like if your car is delivered?
I can't. It's too
There's
much.
a
It's too
lot
much
of
for me to
things
handle.
I
having-
anticipate 2019.
I mean, that could be a high point of your life.
It could be. It
Picking
really
up
could
that
be.
car and drive. It still could be a terrible low point when you drive the car and it
Into
drives
the-
horribly.
or
and
drive
it
into the lake
needs
or
another
something.
year's worth of work.
Yeah.
And the brakes don't. You hit the pedal, goes to the floor, and you go right into the water off the
Exactly.
pier.
The thing is, though, they actually recommended coming to Italy and driving it to do like break-in period, and
Oh,
then
they
see
did?
if we wanted to tune it before they shipped it back. 'Cause
Oh,
once
boy.
it's in the U.S., I can't get it tuned, at least by them,
Really? Yeah. Well, I would guess we have the people to sort that car out right
I
here.
somehow
Right?
think that our tuners will be better than their tuners.
Yeah,
chance.
but boy, what a proposition, Zuckerman! Flying into Milan and trying out that car and getting it right.
You should
I
do
mean,
it.
we should do that,
You
right?
definitely should.
We only live life
Absolutely.
once. All right. I'm going to get the listener questions, so people are going to be really pissed. And as I said before, lots of people want to ask all of us questions, but especially you. Brian J. Gold wants to know, what is the ultimate suit watch?
Ooh. Okay. There are several. It all depends on what kind of environment we're talking about here. But any gold day date would look cool with a suit. But if you really got to go for it, though. You got to be in like a flashy suit, like a 3-piece, something like that.
Well, I've often wondered, do you wear a metal band with a suit?
So-
is that okay, or do you have to wear the leather band?
It all depends on the setting. Like I know a lot of guys in New York that wear kind of like informal suits, if that's a thing. I think it is now. And so with a band, I would say it is okay. But short of that, any Lange, any Patek, any Journe, really high end dress watches on a crocodile strap. I don't typically wear black straps. I also don't typically wear crocodile straps. I do kind of like vintage Italian calf leather, and I think that just kind of dresses things down. But
right.
thin, manually wound watches.
When I first met Zuckerman, he was wearing a big, what was it, the big Rolex, not the Submariner, the Sea Dweller.
No.
And I said, you look crazy with that watch with your suit. He said, very well-dressed man, but he's got this giant diving
and I
watch
had an
on.
explanation for you.
And he had a good explanation. I said, go ahead, you can tell him.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that as a policeman has a uniform, he has a gun, he has a cop car. A personal injury lawyer has a uniform as well, which is a nice suit, a Porsche, and a big, giant Rolex, because you're not going for subtlety with your clients. Your clients want to understand that you're going to get them the money. And what a better symbol than a giant Oreo cookie, double stuffed cookie Rolex on your hand.
But I get tired of looking at it because I said it didn't make sense for me. I don't want to have to see it. So I got him into this Daytona. I bought mine.
Yeah.
And I said, look at this thing. And he goes, get me one. Just go get me one.
Yeah,
and I
got
got him that one. And it's beautiful.
It's the best.
It's made your life. Look at how
does,
handsome you look right now.
And granted, it does fit under your sleeve better
it does.
than a deep sea dweller.
Now, why? Explain to me why. That's a 40-millimeter watch, and this is a 40-millimeter watch, but this one feels bigger than that one. It feels like it doesn't sit right.
It shouldn't. I mean,
Could be your little tweezer-like wrist.
These are very delicate wrists.
I don't know.
Wow, look at that, Zuckerman. Put it on. Zuckerman is putting on the yellow gold watch.
Look at the salesman. Oh, you look sharp. You
Look at
look
that.
sharp.
Move
with
your green tea bottle there.
Shut the fuck up.
Look at that. Oh.
What do you think?
Dude, that's
Can I do it?
great.
You should
Yeah.
probably do it.
Oh, no,
Can you
that's
get me one?
great.
I obviously
You can buy this one. You want to buy this
I
one?
want to buy from him. I don't want to buy from his competitor.
He
Come on,
is
we're
not
in
a
this-
watch seller in that sense. He just does that. This watch is a Chrono Caliber watch. I can sell you this watch right now. Are you interested in it?
What would you tell me to buy if I wanted a gold watch?
honestly, you want a gold watch on a gold bracelet?
Yes, a Rolex.
Either a Rolex and then that. They date with a standard champagne dial.
Dude,
or
that looks great on your arm right now.
they do special dial colors as well.
What would you recommend?
So this is the classic, but they do a black dial that's very nice, of course. They do a green dial. It's an anniversary watch.
No.
I mean, this is the one. This is the standard
The
one.
reason you like that, and the reason I like it is because if you're going to go gold, you go gold everywhere.
gold,
Go gold on the dial. You
Gold
just
on
want
gold.
it to pop, and boy, does that thing pop from here.
We should
now
do
I
an
want to wear
experiment.
this.
We should each, and this is the syndrome we talk about. Have you ever noticed that you can't tell how good looking your watch is on your own wrist? It's
only
only
on somebody else's wrist.
Absolutely.
wrist
Yeah.
that you go, wow,
That's why I
a
want you to
good-looking
buy
watch.
this so I can look at it like that.
We should each have one and then go to Nobu in Malibu and see
In
how many
Lamborghinis.
ladies descend upon us.
Okay, here's another question, because not everybody can afford this watch. Zuckerman will set you back $29,000 at Crown Caliber, pre-owned but beautiful as new. But not everybody can afford that. What's the best starter watch to buy that's Swiss under $2,000? Can be new or pre-owned, and that's from Scott Palkowski.
So probably the best answer to that specific question would probably be a vintage Omega, which you could find from anywhere from $400 to $1,000. Service is tricky, a lot of refinished dials, etc. If you're going to go new, probably Longines makes a really nice watch because they are technically in-house because they're owned by Swatch. I would say, however, probably the best in-house watch under $2,000 is not Swiss. It's German, and it's Nomos. Nomos makes a hell of a watch for around $1,500.
Never heard of
watch.
that.
They're
Have
on
you?
your site.
They're on our
your
site.
site.
They're
you see
amazing.
a lot of them on Hodinkee. The Speedmaster, they've been making that forever, right? Since the mid-'60s,
1957, in fact.
57. It's a beautiful dial.
Classic, manly.
It's kind of like the 911. It has not changed that much. So there are lots of those. Can you get one of those in that price range?
You can probably find an automatic one, which is probably not the one you would want.
Right.
You want the manually wound one.
Right.
But you can find an automatic one for probably around $2,500 to $3,000.
Wow, it's amazing. You would think they've made millions of these things, and they should be pretty
They have.
inexpensive.
Speedmasters are getting hotter and hotter by the year because the vintage Daytonas are just stratospheric at this point.
Right.
So everybody else that can't afford that is going into Speedmaster.
Now look, here's someone just right after that. Escape Road said, "Is the Speedmaster the 911 of watches?" And I just said that.
It pretty much
yes,
is.
it is.
Yeah, it is.
And I said that organically.
Would a vintage Daytona be too small on my wrist?
No, definitely not. Vintage Daytona, I think, is the best wearing watch ever made.
What do you say?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I've seen mine on yours, and it looks a little dainty. But as long as you're enjoying it, what does it matter?
That's exactly right.
Right?
You should try it. Vintage Daytona
I
is
think
special.
Zuckerman, this thing. Just knowing you, we can confer after the podcast, and I can tell you a few more reasons why. But I think this watch on you, it would really change your life in a wonderful way.
I should get a $sign belt buckle.
So someone has an Octavia question. Well, Caliber 11 just did that little jam with Tag Heuer.
Yeah, sweet.
And I'm getting one of those watches. You getting one of those watches? You care about that? It's the new Tag Heuer, Siffert Octavia. They're going to make 100 of them.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Go to caliber11.com. Check it out.
It's cool. I'm probably not going to buy one. I used to own an original one way back when. It was the type of watch where like 6 years ago, it was like I think I paid $3,200 for it. Sold it for $9. Now it's over $20.
Me too.
So I probably won't, to be honest. It's that case is a little big for me. I would probably do it.
It's a little high, right?
It's a little hefty.
Yeah, they still
chunky.
haven't figured out what Rolex has figured out with that Daytona. They lay it flat on you, and we're going to love that.
Yeah.
It seems like there are a lot of watchmakers that are making these one-offs, these like 100 or a little batch of 200. Is that a trend that's happening?
It is.
Why?
I think it's we've done 6 or 7 different limited editions with Tag Heuer, Vacheron, Nomos, you name it, Zenith, and it's one of those things where you take a very particular like type of aesthetic and like just apply it to something that currently exists, and then like our audience is very different than like a Crown and Caliber audience or a Revolution audience or whatever, and so our guys really dig our vintage aesthetic, and it's one of those things where you're creating special products. Nobody wants to buy the same thing that everybody else has, and that was a real problem with Rolex and Omega for so long, is that they were making pretty much 5 different models and everybody had them. So these like smaller batch limited editions go a long way in making people feel like they have something special.
What would make your ideal dream car watch pairing? This is for all of us.
There you go, Vic Elford and Daytona.
That would be from it's Worley 18. Remember, folks, put your name in the question, and then I'll say your name. But I don't know what an It's Worley 18 is. But his example is, and this is a nice one, 73 Carrera RS in Gulf Blue.
Yeah.
And a 73 Rolex GMT Master with a Pepsi bezel. I love the car. I don't like the watch in that pairing. I do not agree with you, sir. I would put you in some sort of the Siffert Octavia.
Yeah.
I'd put you in the old Heuer for that watch.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is something that I obviously have given a lot of thought to. Because this is like my entire the essence of my being right here.
Ultimate car, ultimate watch pairing.
It's tricky. So I've got a few cars and a bunch of watches. I think of what watch goes with all of my cars all the time, and so I've already got those kind of locked in. And I think for me it would probably be an Alfa Romeo 1900 Zagato, which is like a late 50s car.
He really is a fucking connoisseur. This guy.
Yeah. And then that would pair with an Eberhard split-second chronograph with a 2-tone dial.
Wow.
I don't know what he is so out there. He is so genius at this.
What does that even look like? Can you Google up a picture of that?
Yeah,
I can see
sure.
what you're talking about.
I
can buy one on the way home.
Okay, and
I want to
show
see
us
that
a
watch.
picture of your Lancia Flaminia, too. Okay. We want to see that. That is also, Ferriston, you missed that comment.
No, I know. I've seen that car. It's a beautiful car. I want to see the watch. Okay, but Zuckerman, you can take this. It doesn't have to be a car you own. Right. What's the ultimate car and watch pairing? If you were going to pick one of each, what would you wear? Like, already I kind of know where I'm at. I'm always
a Daytona of some vintage, or some Daytona chronograph.
Yeah.
Always.
I would go Ferrari 250 short wheelbase, Bruce Meyer's car. The one that won 61. Oh, look at that. That's very special. We're looking at that. What is this, an Eberhard?
Eberhard split-second with a crazy silver 2-tone dial.
That is amazing. There's certain deco quality to it.
Yeah.
I can see how that matches that funny mustache face of the front of the Alpha, right?
Exactly.
Beautiful.
And this is a split-second, so a double chronograph. And this watch was made in the 40s. It's just amazing. And it's 40 millimeters. It's super thin. It's just an amazing watch.
And what does something like that set you back? That is gorgeous. That is unbelievable.
Today, probably like 120,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's all.
And he said, and he says that the car guys have more money than the watch guys.
Today.
Everybody
back then,
wants
when I bought it much less.
All right.
That is just an amazing dial.
It is.
Wow.
Roscoe, and I think wants to know our position on tourbillons. I think you know my position.
What are they?
I don't give a shit about complications. I don't. It doesn't excite me in any way. I kind of like to watch the videos about how they work, but that's about it. I don't get off on owning one. What about you?
Yeah, I'm around them enough, and I'm around the Swiss enough to appreciate what goes into them, and it's insane. I mean, like, the quality and the craftsmanship is remarkable. I don't own one. I owned one once. I owned an FP Journe Tourbillon. It lasted for about, I think, 6 weeks, and then sold it. I'm not a tourbillon guy as well. I do like some complications, but I like useful complications like split seconds, perpetual calendars, things like that. So I'm not huge on tourbillons, but I respect that they're there,
All right. So again, lots of recommendations for watches that people want to buy in different categories. Here's the sub $10,000 range from Chris Gervat. He needs a watch as a wedding gift for my soon-to-be wife. I think we all know what that watch would be, right? That's probably the 36 millimeter yellow gold.
Yep.
Rolex President Day Date.
Can't go wrong. I mean,
Can't go wrong.
That watch will be cool in 50 years, 100 years.
Every young lady, every wife out here in the west side of L.A. Buys that watch, the 36 millimeter. I'm convinced Rolex made the 40 millimeter so the men could get this watch back and start wearing it.
This is true.
But this watch looks beautiful. I bought one for my wife after our second child. She absolutely loves it. What... Mine was a little more than $10,000.
Right.
So how do you... And by the way, you don't buy these things new. You don't need to buy them new. You can buy them pre-owned. They've been making them for a while. What years are we talking about in the 10 or less range?
In 10 or less? Really anything modern. So like 1990s and
So
later.
1990s, right. And where do you recommend you go for that watch? You can do all right on eBay, right, buying one of those watches?
You could. I mean, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't. So here's my philosophy on buying a watch as a gift. I actually prefer to buy brand new from an authorized dealer for a gift because, like, it really.
But
you're
that's
going to
take us out of the $10,000 category.
Not necessarily. If you're doing solid gold, yes.
Yes,
but if you're doing steel or something like that,
okay, so
it's a
let's
different
take
thing.
it into a brand new watch for his wife as a wedding gift, sub $10,000. What do you recommend?
I would do the same watch in steel or two-tone. Something
Okay.
like that, because the idea of having a watch with your wife's name or your name on the papers, date of the day you get married, blah blah blah, I think is compelling. So that's what I do when I buy new watches. When my nephew was born, I bought him a Daytona, for example, and his name's on the papers, and it's dated to the day that he was born.
There you go.
That's very cool. Thoughtful.
What is Ben's go-to cheap watch? And I'm talking really cheap.
How cheap are we
86
talking?
Flat 6 wants to know. Timex, Seiko, what is your... Like, I recently bought that swatch that you guys put out.
So that's up there,
That one-off
for sure.
swatch, and
Yep.
that was $150.
$150. It's automatic. It's Swiss made. That's definitely up there.
What is that watch called again? The
System 51.
System 51,
Yeah.
and because it's made of 51 parts.
51 components,
Right.
all machine made in Switzerland.
And it's an automatic watch that
is.
self-winds. It's got that little swirly hypnotic thing on the back.
It
My
does.
kids love that watch. I really like that watch.
It's
But
great.
I own a couple of your special watches,
You
right?
do? Yeah.
I also own the
The skipper, the tag.
the Hoyer Skipper. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great drive.
That's a good one.
Do you know what I was? I believe I was in a Maritime Blue 964, driving out to Malibu, Japanese sunroof delete. When I saw that watch on your site at a stoplight, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at watches on your site.
Oh, legal
Glad somebody
driving.
is. Yeah.
And then I started moving. When I stopped again, I texted you. I was like, Ben, what the hell is this watch? It was gorgeous. Why didn't you tell me I want one of these? And you go, our list is really long. It's really long.
So we've done like 6 or 7 limited editions. That has the longest waiting list of any of them. I think we're over like
It
2,000
was
or 3,000
beautiful.
people.
Yes, that watch is gorgeous. It is
One of my
stunning.
favorites.
So how many of these one-off things are you going to do? A bunch a year?
Yeah,
And-
we'll probably shoot for probably 1 a quarter, maybe 3 per year. Really ranging from a swatch, which is $150. We did one with Vacheron and Laurent Ferrier above $60,000.
I saw
last
that
year.
watch. It's beautiful.
So we want to do a little bit of something for everyone, but probably 1 a quarter.
He's really made something out of nothing. You were so lucky 2008 happened.
You're
to
telling
you.
me, man. You're telling me.
I love these stories.
How do you make money on that site? What is it? Advertising?
So
is it selling watches? Where's the money coming in from?
Advertising is the biggest margin, obviously, because we're
Right.
creating the content anyway. So if people want to run ads against it, great. That's just money in our pocket. Advertising is a big chunk of it. The straps, the accessories, is a pretty big business.
And now you've got a magazine component. coming
Magazine,
up.
which we sell ads in as well. And then, we do vintage watches, which is really just for fun. We don't make anything on it. And then, we think we're kind of changing the conversation with new watch retail online. So everything is a race to the bottom with price in the traditional retailer set. We want to kind of flip it and go race to the top with service. And so we do stuff like you can store all of your paperwork digitally online, free insured shipping overnight anywhere. Like if you buy a Rolex from any dealer in LA probably and you don't like it and return it, you don't get your money back. You get a store credit. Like, what are you going to do with a $20,000 store credit? Which is just fucking insane. If you
Right.
buy a pair of shoes, you don't like them, you get your money back. So I've been buying watches at retail and elsewhere for 10 years now, and I just saw all these like ridiculously overlooked pain points and said, let's just fix them all. And so we're selling Vacheron Constantin online, we're selling Tag Heuer online, we're selling Zenith, all these great brands, and we're doing it online at full price, and which people didn't think would be possible. But it is if you have an audience that trusts you.
What do you think about these guys who have these watch loaning programs? what is that? 11
There's
James.
11 James, who I know the founders of these companies really well. It's a
the
small
idea
world.
is, you give them $600, they'll send you a Rolex for a month. It's not the worst idea I've heard.
It's not, but like for me, watches again are so personal. Like I just companies send us watches to try it all the time. I never want to wear them. I want to wear my own shit. Just like I want to drive my own cars. Except for when I'm in LA.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I understand it. I know that a big part of their business is corporate. So like they'll sell memberships to like a group at Morgan Stanley, and then they give them to analysts so that they can wear the Rolex out to the club. And
for Christ's sake.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not for me, but I get it.
It's like doggy treats. It's it's bizarre to me.
Lots of people asking the same. Best car and watch pairing. Best car and watch pairing. Best car and watch pairing. Again, Zuckerman, people want to know what we think of that Singer 911. It's nonstop. I'll tell you, Rob Dickinson's coming on the show. That's what we think of it. He's
and I like
all
Rob a lot.
about it. And Zuckerman, you can get into it with him because I know you've criticized some of these car interiors. But I think when you meet Rob and he tells you what he's up to,
I've known Rob for over 10 years. I think he is a genius. What hurts me is how few 964s are out there and how they provide the base for his interpretation of a Porsche. And it's such a – can't he pick on a car that's a version of the car that is more common?
Aren't they making an RSR now?
But they are using 964s as a base. So look how few there are already.
Yeah. Well, that just makes the ones you own more valuable.
Okay, I know.
As they destroy them, your car goes up in value. Just keep it quiet.
It's the other, but and it's not necessarily Rob. It's everyone else that's trying to do what he does at a fraction of the price that really fucks everything.
Yeah, the
up.
guys who are really screwing the cars up.
Right.
And that happens. That happens.
So the way a Singer, like if you've been in one, you know that they're incredible to drive.
Right.
The quality is amazing, but the idea of doing something that's not factory has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's like wearing like a Bamford Rolex, and Bamford is a great guy, but like I'm just not going to do that because
it's kind of a conceit. I can do Porsche better than Porsche.
Exactly.
But I would take my Octavia. I have that Heuer Octavia Cup Octavia, the 02. I don't even know what to call that watch. What do I call that watch?
I think it is.
What is the name of it?
It's Tag Heuer Caliber 02 something.
Tag Heuer Heritage Caliber 02 Octavia Cup watch. So I have the new Siffert coming, and I have the old one. I was thinking I might send it to Bamford and really do something fucking crazy with it.
So you should. If you have multiple things,
it's
I'd
not
say
an
go
expensive
for it.
watch,
Exactly.
and why not just do something goofball with it?
And that's the thing. Watches are about having fun, and if you've got multiple of them, I'd say go for it. But when you're talking about Singers, multiple of the same model.
But having fun. Yeah, the Singers, though, the cars I've driven are just excellent. They're new. They're put together. Obviously, whoever's building these cars is obsessive compulsive.
No question.
And have you driven one yet, Zuckerman?
I have not driven one. I've seen him. I think really, again, Rob is a true genius.
Oh,
and
stop kissing his ass.
I'm not fucking powdering his
gonna
balls,
get you.
I'm just saying.
Yes, you are. Get out of his
Fuck
pants.
you.
You're
piece of shit.
I'm going to get you a test drive. I know how you enjoy a car, and I think you'll be very impressed. I drove some of the early ones, and I drove one of the recent builds, and it's incredible. It's really incredible. Everything I thought before, forget it. I thought these guys are out of their minds with perfection, and you will appreciate that.
$500,000.
Well, let's forget about the money.
$500,000.
Why are you
for
concerned?
Something that's what is it?
Why are you concerned with money? You make a lot of money.
I got to go make some more. You're taking too much of my time.
So, are you guys? So, I don't know anything about this. You guys doing the Malibu Cars and Coffee on Sunday?
What? What is it? Trancas?
Yeah. Do you guys do that?
I don't want to compete for a parking spot at 5:30 in the morning.
But
you should definitely go.
Because I'm not here that often.
We'll meet you afterwards.
We'll meet you afterwards at Bill's in the Malibu Country
So what I
Mart.
was going to say, my friend that lives here in Malibu has a Singer, and he's going to drive it on Sunday. So if you want to check it out,
there
you're more
you
than
go.
welcome to.
Well, we don't want to check it out that much. But you're going to go, it's the Friday before the Lit Show. You're going to be there Saturday morning, right, for the Lit Show?
Tomorrow morning, yeah.
We'll be there a little later on. It's going to be fantastic. You should have some sun. And as we said before, we'll be after that show. It's definitely worth seeing once since you're out here. You're in tourist mode. You're going to have a good time.
It's going to crack you up. It's like so many of these guys come to the show with their little box of shit like it's the Antiques Roadshow. They think that they've got the most valuable nuts and bolts in the world. And then I love the people who've been waiting all year to hand Jerry a letter. or some other.
Wait. This is the Lit Show. This isn't the Trankish show.
Oh, we're talking about the Lit Show.
Yeah. So if you don't know what we're talking about, every year there's this thing called the Porsche Literature and Memorabilia Show, and it's down at the airport, down at LAX, in the Hilton or the Hyatt. One of those. And it used to be down in the basement, and it's steamy, and it's really this insider kind of Porsche guy event where there are vendors from around the world and, license plate frames and posters, and it's really, I don't know, I feel it's like it's one of the last events that's not contaminated with outsiders, right, Zuckerman? It's just it's the who's who of Porsche people,
and
right?
It's very incestuous, and there's been some crossbreeding in there. There's some definite people that don't get enough sunlight.
It's all of the crazies. It's akin to a Star Wars convention, but without J.J. Abrams or any of the real people involved. It's just the nuts. It's all of us. And you go there, they don't take credit cards generally. So now they do, but back in the day, you'd have to fill your pockets full of cash, and you can buy original keychains from the 70s, posters, that one part that you've been missing. I bought overrider bumpers for my Speedster there one year, and a lot of talking, a lot of bad breath, and you end up leaving with a bunch of stuff you don't need, but it's fun, and it's really, for us, it's the first real car event of the year. This is the beginning of the car season.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't miss it for sure.
And it's going to be raining, which kind of sucks, but whatever.
Makes it steamier.
What time are you going to go, Zuckerman? When are you going to go?
I've got to put my kid in the car for his PSAT tomorrow morning at about.
That's a prostate test?
Yes, and and after that, I'm coming down. So let's be there about 9 or 10.
Okay, that's good.
Not too early.
Yeah. Well, Ben.
Sir.
It's good to see you, man.
You too, man.
We're all having dinner, right? When are we doing that?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. And what is that going to be?
So
Zuckerman's coming too, right?
Yes, I did RSVP.
Is this going to be, we're not the type of people who are comfortable at dinner parties.
This is not really a dinner party. This is, well, I shouldn't say that. This is really, it's absolutely a dinner party. It's really just us, like the people that we don't get to see all that often. We invited them all to dinner.
And we're just going to hang out.
And where is it?
Nothing else. I don't know. I can text you that.
And
That's
all right.
This has all happened because the people listening, this has already happened. It's history.
It's about to be past tense.
Right.
Yeah.
If we get food poisoning, we all die. This is voice from what I'm going to be nervous about my watch choice. What should I wear? What watch choice?
Something awesome for sure. Something that's like that. I would say put on your finest.
Tudor Submariner.
That's cool.
French Navy.
Yes.
Marine Nationale. Is that all right?
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Box and papers.
Box and bring the box and papers. Yes. The decommissioning papers. Should I bring them? Pin it to my blazer like this and go, yeah, that's real.
Are there still guys with trench coats and watches inside?
Definitely.
Really? You've seen them?
Look, I mean, vintage watch sellers are really they're one step above heroin dealers. They are really they're cutthroat guys, old school guys. Crown and Caliber and other guys have been able to kind of elevate the game a little bit, but the guys that are selling the really good stuff are still dudes that are picking at flea markets every week in Milan or whatever, and then trying to sell them over WhatsApp to guys like us. It's still the Wild West out there.
Wow. And so really, overcoats holding them open.
I've seen it.
Incredible.
Usually Louis Vuitton backpacks.
Yeah, and they open them
popular.
Up.
Yeah.
But then what happens if there's
backpacks.
fraud? There's so much fraud in watches.
Everywhere. It's all part of it.
But when you see these groups, and I won't mention any of them, but there have been watch sellers that have now banded together and going, we're the good guys,
Correct.
and we're only going to put our watches out there.
Yep.
How do you trust that process? Do people's reputations really matter still, or are people getting away with selling fraudulent watches?
There are fraudulent watches everywhere, and there's different.
So how do we get them checked?
You really can't. And the beautiful thing about it is that even Rolex themselves sometimes don't know what they have, and then also sometimes won't say what they have. So there's really no kind of defining voice, at least with Rolex, of what's correct and not. Patek is a little bit better. Other brands are a little bit better.
And Rolex still won't service old watches?
They will service them, but it'll cost a fortune, and they will try to replace everything. So I would avoid sending a really valuable vintage watch to Rolex.
But then you get those service papers, and aren't those valuable?
They are in the sense because that means that they've at least validated that it's a real thing.
Right.
But it's so risky because even with people that are connected with Rolex, they will not guarantee that the dial isn't replaced because in fact they're supposed to do it.
Why don't they have a classic department?
They actually don't want to do that. It's funny. The very first time, this is 10 years ago, I met with Rolex. I walked in wearing a vintage Submariner. I was really proud, blah, blah, blah. They're going to think it's so cool. They actually told me that their biggest competitor, Rolex's biggest competitor, is vintage Rolex. It's not Omega. It's not Tag Heuer.
Wow,
They're in the business of selling new watches. And that's it. The vintage stuff is, the vintage watches that sell for 5x, 10x a new watch, they really don't care about. They respect it and they love it, but they don't want to service that market. They want to sell you a new watch.
Because they're competing with themselves.
Yeah.
Well, They need to embrace that at some point. That's ridiculous.
They do. And they're starting to. At the Paul Newman sale in New York, the head of the Heritage Department was there, which I've never seen. I've never seen this person leave Geneva to come to an auction. So they're clearly paying attention. I've heard that there might be a museum coming, like a temporary museum. But they have archives. They've got amazing stuff.
Well, I mean, who else can verify this stuff other than them? At some point, they need to embrace it and go, look, we'll be the last stop. It's like Ferrari Classiche.
Right.
It's the same deal.
Yeah.
You have to embrace that.
The thing is, or not, because if they don't, they know that people like us are not going to invest that heavily into it, and then they'll just buy a new Rolex instead.
No, we are. We're going to just tell ourselves lies and try to get this. All right. Well, Ben, thank you.
Thank you, Spike.
We've talked a lot about watches. We've talked lots about cars. Zuckerman's got 1 foot out the door.
Got to make money.
I'll see you boys tomorrow, and I'll see you folks next week on Spike's Car Radio. Real quick before we go, here are some useful car tips you might not be aware of. A coffee filter and a little bit of olive oil can clean your interior. Removing excess weight from your car will improve your gas mileage, and you can place your key fob to your chin and increase its range. Weird, right? Well, here's another tip you also might not know about. TrueCar also helps people get used cars. That's right. TrueCar isn't just for buying new cars. With their certified dealer network and nationwide inventory of nearly 1 million used cars, you'll enjoy real pricing on actual inventory and a simpler buying experience whether you buy new or used. And with TrueCar, users can see what others paid. So they know if they're getting a good deal before they're buying. They're also more likely to enjoy a faster buying experience by connecting with TrueCar certified dealers. When you're ready to buy a new car or used car, check out TrueCar and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states, but you know that.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the PrizePicks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on PrizePicks for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
You love podcasts, the stories, the laughs, the unexpected turns. But when this episode ends, the silence starts. Not anymore. Audiobooks.com turns that silence into your next great adventure. With over 450,000 titles, from bestsellers to hidden gems, your love for listening just found its new best friend. And because you already know the joy of audio, we're giving you 3 free audiobooks to start your journey. Imagine your favorite podcast, now with unlimited episodes. That's audiobooks.com. Keep the story going. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. Because for podcast lovers like you, the end of an episode is just the beginning. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.